Well, hey, welcome back. Welcome to this live stream. Our topic tonight is 11 ways to provide some encouragement to your volunteers. And so I'm joined here with my colleague she serves as a Awana missionary in Texas and Alabama, is Melanie Grigsby. And so we're just going to go through these. There's 11 ways. This comes from a book that was written several years ago. Melanie's got a hard copy. I don't think they print the hard copy anymore. However, we do have a digital copy, and so I think what I might do is put the digital copy in the notes from this video, and so if you want that, you can read. So, as we think about this subject, 11 ways to encourage worn out volunteers. A lot of times the tendency would be to think, um, if you're the children's pastor or the Awana ministry director, how are you going to encourage your leaders? Or if you're the Sparks director, how are you going to encourage your leaders? But as we go through this, I want you to think, not just from a standpoint of a Awana ministry director or a children's pastor, but how can you, as a Cubby leader or Sparks leader, encourage your Sparks director, encourage your Awana ministry director, encourage your children's pastor. They're people, they need your encouragement. And then secondly, to just think about this is that, a lot of times in children's ministry, we think ministry is always the children, but sometimes ministry is, or a lot of times ministry is to our volunteers too. So you kind of have a ministry to your kids, but you also minister to your volunteers, as well as your leaders, your leadership in your club. So we're going to start, and our first way here is to lead through empathy. And Melanie and I are going to kind of jump back and forth here. And so I'm going to let you go first, Mel. Lead through empathy.
Great. When we were going through this list, Jeff, when I think of the word empathy, I always think of how it means I can feel your pain or I feel your emotions. And when I saw that, I went, I don't get this one. But amongst a little bit of research, I'm like, oh, I really get this one now. And really what that's saying is you don't have to be an empath or being empathetic, but you do need just to kind of stop and listen, hear what they're saying, take that person's perspective or look at it from their point of view. And when you do that, a lot of times that solves a lot of the confusion of our conversation. Or also, sometimes it's a matter of remembering this person, this leader is, is having trouble getting here on time. Well, we've got to remember their husband doesn't get off work till midnight and they've got 5 kids and they're picking up 10 other kids along the neighborhood and getting them all there. If we remember some of those type of things, maybe we can help figure out a better way to fix the problem or help them not feel so stressed. Another part, when we're leading with empathy, we're able to connect with them and connect with the situation better. And so those are some of the parts of leading through empathy.
Yeah, I think about, if you're the TNT director and you, hey man, you're thinking to yourself, I got all these things going. I got to manage the club. I got to get everybody to game time. I got to make sure everybody, passes their book. I got to do this, this, and this. How come that leader can't just do what they're supposed to do? And all they got to do is manage kids. But you have to remember, maybe they have 6 or 7 kids. Some can read, some can't. Some get help from home, some can't. They have their own challenges. So have empathy towards them. And then on the other side of that too is if you're the leader, you go, hey man, I'm doing all the work here. I'm working with the kids. I got 8 kids. Some can read, some can't. Some get help at home, some don't. What's wrong with that TNT director? How come all they have to do is fill out their little checkbox form, and how come they're not doing it? So if we need to have empathy towards each other. Or the other thing I think about is, what about if you're the large group leader and you say, oh, I've got a lot of stuff to go through, and so we're going to run 15 minutes late. But the game person, they won't mind. They, they're just doing games, and so maybe we can be 15 minutes late. Well, maybe you think that game director has spent several hours trying to come up with some good games, and then here they're part of the ministry, you just discounted. So as we work with each other, we always want to have empathy and think what the other person's thinking. I hate to use the word up and down, but within the chain of leadership, up and down, the chain of leadership, have empathy towards everyone else. So that's our first one. The second one's send handwritten notes of encouragement. And I would say it could be snail mail, it could be a personal text, it could be a Facebook messenger text, any of those things. But send encouraging notes to people individually so that they feel valued by you. And like we said, it's not just the ministry director or the TNT director sending notes of encouragement to the leaders, the handbook leaders, the small group leaders, but it's also the handbook leaders and small group leaders sending encouraging text to the TNT director, the Awana ministry director, the children's pastor. And, hey, I thank you for your leadership, or, thank you for all you're doing. And so if we're always appreciating each other, it just creates a healthier atmosphere for the entire club. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mel?
I agree with everything you said. Just that, how can we show gratitude and appreciation, and personal, make it personal for that person so they recognize where it's real.
Yeah. As we're talking, I was thinking about this as the lead through empathy and this section too. You just don't know what's going on at somebody's house.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so somebody could have lost their job. There could be a sickness or a death in the family. And so just walk lightly when you're dealing with people, because you just don't know what's going on. So, our next thing on the 11 ways, have good people skills. So Mel, I'll let you kick this over to you.
When I'm thinking about good people skills, what this includes is really listening to your people, talking to them. As we go through some of these, Jeff, I think we're going to I think I've said that before, but it's okay, because that's why they're so important. So with the good people skills, how are you leading? But more importantly, how are you listening? What questions are you asking? Sorry, Jeff, stole part of yours. And sometimes it's about survey your leaders, ask them what's working, what's not. Maybe sometimes this takes some guts to go ahead and put this survey out, because you might not like the answers you get back. That's part of having good people skills, being able to accept what is said to you. But also part of good people skills is knowing your people. Do you have them in their, what I always call the sweet spot? Do you have the person serving where it's their passions, their gifts, their talents? If you have a mighty prayer warrior and you stuck them in the kitchen serving the meal, wait a minute, I don't think that makes sense. Same thing. If you have somebody who is passionate about preschool, they love the 3 and 4-year-olds, they love the Play-Doh, and you put them with TNT, are we really doing the best thing? So they're not going to be happy. They're not going to feel like they're valued. Also, they may feel like they're not really being able to, put into what they think they want to do. You may not feel like they're really reaching that group of kids or their job. And they're probably not if they've got them in the wrong place. So that's part of having good people skills, making sure you look around your people.
I think when you say have good people skills and you say listen to your people, you really need to listen, not just have heard what you said, but really listen. And then I think too is don't let your ego or your
feelings,
your feelings get in the way of ministry. Sometimes we all want to be right, and we all let our ego get in the way. And somebody says, "Hey, I think we could do this better." Well, maybe rather than just discounting that, maybe you should really think about that and figure out how to. Maybe they're right. Who knows? And when you ask people for their opinions and they tell them to you, maybe they're right. Just because you're the children's pastor or the ministry director doesn't necessarily mean you're smarter than them in every circumstance. And they can come up with some great ideas. So when you listen to people and you ask for their input, and then really let them run with that, I think that's a good thing too. So yeah, have good people skills. The next one is ask good questions. And when I was a ministry director, we would I had some club directors, and I used to call the club directors every week. And our club met on Tuesday. I would call them Monday night sometime or in the afternoon, depending on when they worked and so on. And I'd ask them, hey, it's Crazy Hat Night. Is there anything you need from me? And so you're asking your people, hey, how can I help you? And then on the other side of that too, if the handbook leader or the game leader asks you, hey, is there anything that you need from me to make your life easier? How can I make life easier for you? So we're always kind of supporting each other, asking legitimate questions, asking good questions. How can I help you? What's going well? What do you need help with? How are the kids? How's the discipline? Just opening doors so that those people have the opportunity to share. And so I don't know, ask good questions. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mel?
This one I always love because I always used to always think, oh, I asked all these great questions until I realized that I was asking yes, no, one word answer questions. And then I realized those aren't the best questions, especially if I'm really wanting to, connect with my leaders and really hear them and all these parts that we're talking about. I've got to ask questions that are, like you said, Jeff, open and it really starting the conversation that will have a dialogue. If it's like, how's the night? Or like, how's the night going? Great. Conversation's dead. We got
Yeah.
to make sure we keep it going.
Yeah. You
So
could ask
really-
them, instead of asking them, hey, how's large group time? Oh, it's fine. You could ask them, hey, tell me about your large group time, or what's working for you at large group time. What's sinking, what are the bad things happening at large group time? And so just really think about how you can ask good questions. A lot of times helping people is the real key to that, is asking them good questions, because giving them the opportunity to open up. So yeah, ask good questions.
Hey, Jeff, can I
Yep.
add one more back to that one? Sorry. Just had a thought. Sometimes we're talking about, we're all exhausted and tired, and we're all kind of in that same boat. Sometimes asking a good question really is stopping and saying, what was your success this week? What's been the biggest success that you've seen this last month? And that makes us stop and really focus on some of the other reasons why we're here, So
Yeah, questions could be an encouraging time too, because you could, I always like to ask kids, hey, what's your favorite thing about Awana?
Yeah.
Well, you could ask the volunteers, hey, what's your favorite thing about serving? And some of them will say, hey, I love to see the smile on their face. Hey, I love the kids. Oh man, I love when we open the Bible. I love prayer time. And you're kind of bringing out them, encouraging themselves by them and solidifying them in ministry. Yeah. So give them a break. I think this is yours, Mel.
Okay. That's easy. Take some time off, but not in January, because that's why we're back. You just had a break. No, give them a break. Sometimes we do need a moment away. And if this was earlier in the year or coming up, thinking about for next year, as you're planning your calendar, is there a natural flow in time that you could say, don't do something like spring break? Okay, we're not going to meet. Also, when we come up into summer, try to make sure your Awana leaders have some time off. And then, but also flip side, something may be going on and somebody really seriously needs a break right now. This is a great reason why to have some substitutes ready to go. You've already got them trained. You've already done your child protection with them. They're ready to step in. And when you have a sub fill in like that for a couple of weeks, they may discover, hey, I don't want to be a sub. I want in. I'm in for next year as a regular.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would be a win-win.
Yeah, my tip on this is for the Awana ministry directors, when you're scheduling your calendar, this is what I would do, is we would do our Grand Prix. We don't meet the week of Thanksgiving, so we would do our Grand Prix the week before Thanksgiving. So that way our volunteers would have 2 weeks off. We'd still ask them to come to the Grand Prix, but they don't really have any responsibilities, so it helps with burnout. So, and then you get 2 weeks off at Christmas. And then in our area, we have a ski skate week in Lake Tahoe area where the kids takes a week off of school and they can ski. So there's another week. And then we've got Easter. And so you think about the whole year, they do 5 or 6 weeks at, in the fall, we start, and then they get 2 weeks off for Thanksgiving. And then you do another 2 or 3, 4 weeks, and they get 2 weeks off for Christmas. And then you do another 4 or 5 weeks and you got ski skate week, another 4 or 5 weeks, you got Easter. Next thing you know, the club year is over. So you're scheduling time in the calendar to give your volunteers, so it's not so grueling. They don't look at their calendar that first week of January and go, we don't have another break until end of the year, May. So yeah, plan on, try and plan for how you can get your volunteers rest weeks.
Yes.
Will help with burnout for sure. So next thing, reframe their commitment. So, we always want to volunteer or recruit volunteers. And the message you don't want to have is, hey man, it's just crazy in there. We're so busy. We got so many kids. It's chaos. We need some more people. That's not the message you want to have. You want to have the message the message you want to have, and the way you want to frame your ask for the commitment is, hey, we're reaching kids with the gospel. This is a time where these kids, this is going to affect them for eternity. So, and you always want to be talking about that. Sometimes when times are tough, you want to remind your volunteers, hey, thank you. I know it's difficult, but just think about what you're doing. You're reaching kids for eternity. And so you always want to be valuing what they're doing, not like babysitting, but you want to value and reframe their commitment into, this is something we're reaching kids for eternity, and want to remind them over and over and over. So Mel, you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I was just going to say, for the AMDs, for the children's directors, children's pastors, this would be a great time of year just to remind all your current leaders, why are we doing what we're doing? Why is this important? And then help them also just be reminded that they could be that one loving, caring adult that's not a family member, that Awana has shown is the reason kids stay faithful to God throughout their life. And sometimes this time of the year, when we're really getting exhausted over the next couple of weeks, you're just like, but if we remember that one thing, the why we're doing this every week. So leaders, volunteers, whatever whoever you are, remember that part. But AMDs, children's directors, let's broadcast that one fact, get it out there loud regularly.
Yeah, I heard somebody say, if your why is big enough, your what and the how doesn't matter. And
That's
so so for your volunteers and to help them with their burnout, you want to continually remind them why they're doing it. Yeah. And remind your children's pastor and remind your AMD, hey, thank you for all you're doing. Kids are going to be in heaven because of your efforts. So thank you. And so just remind them, Okay. So number 7, get to know them personally. Mel.
This one sounds like, yeah, I know them. I know their name. I know their phone number. Probably know their email. But my question is, do you really know that person? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? What is their favorite restaurant? What's their favorite color? Do we know any of these little tidbits about them? More importantly, do we know their birthday? If they're married, their anniversary? Do we really know their kids and their activities? So that we can have a conversation. When I see you in the hall passing and we have 5 seconds to chat, I'm not just like, how's it going? I can say, hey, how was your meeting you had last night, your hobby that you love to do? I can get a little more personal with you. Mm-hmm. So that one, this will also come back to play again here in a few minutes, but you've got to know them personally to be able to figure out what's their love language. And if I know this person really well and I know that their love language is gifts, am I going to spend all my time sending them cute text messages saying, I'm so glad you're here, you're so awesome? That's not what really speaks to them. They need a thank you gift. But if it's a person who their love language is acts of service, well, then I might want to go do something for them, not send them a $5 gift card to the local ice cream shop, because that's not what's really going to speak to them. Mm-hmm. And it's a little hard on us, but it goes a long way of knowing your people. And when I say, like we've said before, Jeff, knowing your people doesn't mean like, well, that children's pastor should be sending me a card. Guys, do y'all know what the children's pastor's love language is? And I'll even go a little deeper. Do y'all know what the pastor's love language is? Or what do we know about them? Have we told them thank you and help them also in this area?
Yeah, I think I always say people know that you care about them, or the way people know about you that you care about them is when you care about them. And so if they see, if they feel that the only reason you want them is to serve in your deal, then they're going to feel that. But if they really feel if you really value them as a person, then that's going to go a long way in your ministry. So I would say make sure you know your people, you love your people. And if you have a big club, you're not going to know everybody, but you can know, if you're the TNT director, you can know your small group leaders, or, it's not like we're taking them out for dinner all the time, but you really get to know them, and how's your kids and what's going on with that, and how can I pray for you, and so on and so forth. So, So number 8, shepherd by serving. So I would say this, shepherd by serving. If you're the leaders, serve. What did Jesus, washing people's feet? And so if you're the TNT director, you constantly want to be asking your small group leaders, how can I make ministry better for you? And if you're the Amana ministry director, you're constantly asking your club directors, how can I make ministry better for you? So that your goal is to serve them, not have them serve you. And so yeah, shepherd them by serving him. So go ahead, Mel. You have any thoughts on that?
I agree with you 100% on that one. It's just what can we do to help you do better?
I'm glad you agree with me. I know you're right then.
That's a rare occurrence. Jeff said Melanie's right. Yay, it's on video too.
Number 9, communicate well.
Communication is key, because confusion is exhausting. Lack of communication creates confusion. So this one, to me, I've been talking about communication all year out here in the Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico bunch. And a statement was made that I just loved at the virtual Awana Ministry Conference back in October that I listened to it. It said, clarity is kindness. And I just thought that's so important, that if we want to be kind to our coworkers, our team, then we've got to make sure we're very clear. And that comes with great communication. Great communication, whether it's we've got a great calendar out that is just lays it out. Here's what's coming up. Communication through Facebook groups, text messages. One, am I clear? But also, did we give them the information? Or did I tell you that it was Crazy Hat Night last night and it's for tonight? You had no time to prepare because it's a busy week. Or we're like, oh, there's this calendar over there behind the wall that you got to go find to know what's coming up. That's confusion. So how can we get things where it's very clear, concise, easy? But at the other part of communication, everything I've talked about is how I'm talking and presenting. The other part of communication is listening. So am I hearing what's being said? So
yeah,
that's my thoughts on communicate well.
When I think about communicating well, the wrong thing to do would be 5 minutes before club starts, say, hey, I forgot to say you're doing large group time. Hey, I forgot to say you're doing game time tonight. That's not the good message, And sometimes, hey, somebody calls at the last minute. That's all you can do is all you can do. But if you know, even in the afternoon, let them know ahead of time. I think the other thing I was thinking about communication is, hey, are you equipping your leaders? Are you training your leaders, communicating them what the expectations are for them serving? Or are you just saying, hey, just come on down here and we'll find you a spot, and then they don't know what to do. So communicating, we have this Awana Basics online, using roll books. However, you're going to equip your leaders to serve in the club, communicating that well. So, communication is very important. So number 10, give practically, give generously. So I'm at my home church. I'm in the children's ministry office, and I was sitting down here, and I was getting ready to do this thing, and I saw this card here. Let's see.
There you
Did I
go. I
turn it the
see
wrong way? Is that
it.
good? So it's a
Yep.
little card that I can do all things through Him who gives me strength. So
Love
that's the
that
little
verse.
card they made. They hand printed it out, and then on the other side that's glued to it is a little gift card to a frozen yogurt shop, the Summer Swirl frozen yogurt spot. And I thought, what a cool little thing. So, at the end of the year, we give out not Starbucks. We have a local coffee shop. The owner of the coffee shop goes to church here. We ask them to give us gift cards. We do that. Years ago, we used to give Christmas cards to all of our volunteers, and we would print those up for every one of our volunteers, and then we'd pass them around to all of our pastors and ask the pastors and the staff to sign the cards to, like, hey, thanks for all you're doing. And the pastors would maybe put on a Bible verse or some kind of encouraging note. So I would say give practically, like you say, a gift card, Amazon gift card. And I would guess that Summit Swirl is probably, in fact, it is $5. That's what we would do for our volunteers at the end of the club year. But $5 per volunteer doesn't seem like a lot, but it's just the thought that, hey, we value you, we appreciate you. They can go buy a cup of coffee, and so yeah, give practically, give generously. Yeah, I misspelled generously.
I didn't.
Generously.
Generously.
Yeah, well, give that way too.
Yeah, give that way too. That's right. This one goes back to, or at least for me, I was thinking, when we talked about get personal earlier, your people. On the give practically, sometimes practically may not have anything to do with money. Maybe there might be a need. And one way just to say thank you is, hey, Awana leaders only. We're going to have bring your kids, drop them off. I'll watch them. Y'all go have 5 minutes alone. Because you've watched everybody else's kids this week, I'll watch your kids. Sometimes because you may have some single moms in the group or single parents. They don't have 5 minutes of quiet time. That might be that practical thing they need. I haven't done this in years, but years ago, one of the leader appreciation things that we did was get the youth to go wash a leader's car each week or like once a month. And so we were practical. We gave some of those leaders something that their car really needed. That was my car, by the way. But, just sometimes I just want you to think outside the box, because practically and generously might be money, like a gift card, but it might be some kind of a meeting a need in some way.
When you're saying that, I think about what's going on now with our weather, shoveling their steps, or something like that, or even giving your time. A lot of times I just go over to people's houses and sit and drink coffee and talk to them. And so I'm giving my time. So, yeah. Okay. Home stretch. Number 11. Take care of yourself.
Jeff, I don't like this one. I'm not very good at it. So don't make me talk about this one. Taking care of yourself, because we need to make sure we're being filled so we can fill. If I don't have peace and comfort and calmness inside of me, I can't give it to my leaders. I can't give it to the kids in the group that I'm working with. So, one, really stop, take stock, ask yourself, how am I doing? Where am I good? What am I doing good? What do I need to work on? Maybe it's I need to take 5 minutes and go and hang out at the lake and watch the beautiful waterfall, or go for a walk. And so, you're like, I don't have time. I've got to do this, 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 and this. Well, if I would take 10 minutes and go for a walk, take 10 minutes and steal Jeff's gift card to the ice cream shop and just take a moment of peace and quiet, then I will come back refreshed and ready to go. So it's important that I take care of myself. Another thing also, especially for those Awana ministry directors, children's directors, do you have an accountability team, a prayer team? somebody or a group that's surrounding you, one that you can share openly and honestly with, and ones who will, yeah, once again, we may not like it, but there will say, hey, from they'll, Mel, you need to take a moment, breathe, because you're getting a little stressed over there. And they can help you make sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, take care of yourself spiritually, be in the Word of God, your devotions, all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, take care of yourself. So those are some ways. Hopefully that was helpful. I just wanted to share. Somebody made a comment on here. I'm not going to share because I'm not, where they're at. I'm not sure if they want me to share their name, but just they were overseas, encouraging. Somebody's tuning in from overseas. So thanks a bunch. If you have any questions, let us know, and I will. Like I said, I'll put this book in the comments, the link to the book, and we'll see y'all down the road. Thanks a bunch. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.